Hello, my name is Kim Kelly, and I'd like to introduce you to behaviorist Philip Hineline. Who is Philip Hineline and why do I care? Well, soon you will find out. Philip started his education like many of us in public school. In high school, he earned a scholarship to Hamilton College. There he became interested in psychology and pursuing it as a profession. He earned a BA from Hamilton College, and after graduation, he decided to pursue a PhD. He looked at Columbia and at Harvard, and by looking at both programs and visiting the campuses and looking at their departments, he decided that Harvard best fit his professional goals. There he studied B.F. Skinner. After graduating from Harvard, he really loved education, and he felt that he could give a lot back to our profession by being a professor. He became a professor at Temple University and officially retired in 2011. Currently, he is a professor emeritus. During his work, Philip spent 3 years at the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. After those 3 years, he decided to go and work for Temple University, and he was working in the Department of Psychology. He co-founded the Interdisciplinary Master Program in Applied Behavior Analysis through Temple College of Education. He's very, very proud of this program and continues to help support it at Temple. He also served as editor for the Journal of the Experimental Analysis of Behavior. You will find that many of his articles and research can be found in this journal. Hineline also received many awards and recognition. He received teaching and education awards. You will see the Eleanor Hoskins Award in Excellence he received at Temple University in 1999. Following the next year, he received the Great Teacher Award that is given to an exemplary faculty member at Temple. Then he received the Fred S. Keller Behavioral Education Award in 2007 through the American Psychological Association for District 25. He also was the president of ABAI. He received an award for distinguished service from ABAI in 1995. And in 2002, he was awarded Outstanding Contribution for Basic Research from the American Psychological Association, District 25. How Philip Hineline has impacted behavior analysis. It's very interesting to listen to some of his interviews and read some of his articles and see that one of his major focuses, or kind of a pet peeve, has always been in regards to explanatory language and the role of those characteristics that confront behavior analysis. It's very important to him that we understand as behavior analysis that the wording that we use, stimulus control, all of those things are understood and actually universal through our profession. He also has research that focuses on temporal extension of behavior. This is choices between predictable and unpredictable outcomes and between immediate versus delayed consequences. He also created the InterTeach format for colleges and universities that many use in our nation. He is very, very proud of this InterTeach format. He also has been highlighted in many articles and in many conversations that the importance of narrative and storytelling is imperative in behavior analysis. In regards to his research, he has used the beginning of his career, he really focused on working with animals. He worked with mice, he worked with pigeons. Those were some of his research. What I found in my review of Philip's work and research were 5 articles or research projects that really looked more at helping individuals. So I will go over these. The first one I'd like to share is the research from 2020, and this is helping students follow group instructions. It's using transferring cues for cooperation, and the researchers piloted a study to help an individual understand that group pronouns like everyone, everybody, meant that the individual also needed to participate in the instructions. So they use stimulus control, they use similar to Pavlov, but they had a neutral stimulus, which was a bell, and they used that bell in conjunction with the group pronouns to elicit a response from the child. And the response was to attend to the group, to engage in social interaction, and through the training, they were able to actually help that individual begin to participate, and they used fading, and by the end of the training, this child was able to attend to the group pronouns at a very high degree with success. The second research that I'd like to share was in 2002, and this focused on topography-based and section-based verbal behavior and how you can reduce disruptive behavior using MAND model. And I love MAND model. It's something that I utilize a lot in my career as an early childhood interventionist. So I found it very helpful because it actually is, Hineline does a really great job when he does his research and writing to help people understand specifically the goals, the purpose, the methods, and how it pertains to this particular research, but how it can be used beyond the research. And he's a very easy read, I feel. He uses a lot of information from B.F. Skinner, but he also tweaks it in the sense that it's more understandable, I guess you would say, to possibly even lay or beginning behavior analysts. The next research I'd like to share was in 2014, and this is the acquisition of peer manding and listening response for young children with autism. And we see in our field and in education, because that's my field, that children with autism have problems with communication and social interactions. That's one of the main concerns that we have, and how can we help them? So this study actually helped children become speaker-listener responders with their peers. And the research showed that this is very helpful for the children, and they were able to actually become listener responding to their peers. The next research study of 2007, Generalizations of MANs in Children with Autism from Adult to Peers. This is talking about generalization of MAN model and how they used, they worked with 3 preschool age children that were diagnosed with autism, and they were being taught a skill. And during the training, they were able to perform it with the teacher. When they performed the same skill with the parent, there was a high degree of accuracy. However, when the child performed the skill with peers or with their siblings, there was 0 to very few successes in generalizing and transferring it to that arena. So this study actually showed us that when we're working with children that are diagnosed with autism, and the concern is that we need to be able to have a multitude of arenas for the children to practice so they can generalize and transfer it to a new area or a new person. So the last one I'd like to share is a 2018 study, and this one is just interesting because it worked with goal-directed nature-based physical activity training program, and it helped improve that personal management behavior of female adolescents that had been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And what they did is a pre and post test. And the pre and post test looked at their personal or self-perception of their physical being. And it also was a rigid, not regimented, I would say not rigid, but regimented or calculated plan to help them choose healthy meals, to exercise regularly, and the culminating activity was for them to go on an 8-mile backpacking adventure. So they found that it was very significant, and the young ladies were able to be more goal-directed and were able to increase some of their self-reflective physical lightness of their own bodies. It increased a little bit, but more importantly, it helped the girls be able to get into a program and make healthy choices, both in regards to food, in regards to exercise, and they seemed happier. So these are the 5 research pieces that I shared in regards to Hineline. If there was an opportunity for me to actually interview him, I would ask him 5 different questions. 1, during your career, what was the most profound research study that you have contributed? I know he's done a lot of different research, and his interview from earlier in his career, I wonder if it's a little bit different than what he thinks now. I mean, he used to use a lot of information and research in regards to animal behaviors, and now I wonder if he's more in tune to working with individuals that are on the spectrum and individuals that have head traumas, because he has cited that several times. And then I also would be interested in how would you summarize your teaching style to engage students pursuing a degree in behavior analysis? That is something he frequently mentions or kind of shares, that teaching is so important in behavior analysis and for people to understand exactly what it is. So I'd like to see what his take is on that. Also, I wanted to know when he got the spark for studying behavior analysis. What was that culminating? What was that event that really triggered it and go, oh my gosh, I'd like to know that. Also, which researcher impacted his passion for the field of behavior analysis? I know B.F. Skinner was very important to him at the beginning of his career. However, I wonder if he has looked for other researchers and even some in his own age group that he has found to be impactful toward his passion. The last one would, how do you want the field of behavior analysis to remember you? That would be very interesting. I want to see what his thoughts are now versus what he thought 15 years ago. So those are the questions that I'd like to ask him. These are the references that I used in preparing this presentation for you, along with the research citations that are on slide 6. Thank you very much.